Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Questionable Coverage. I am your host, Zach. I am by myself today. Brett is busy and has been for the last few days, so we haven't really had the time to coordinate recording together. So goes life. With that being said, we're going to be skipping over the NBA topics because basketball is more of Brett's niche as it is, so I'm not going to take away from what he does to try to fill in when I can't and shouldn't. So, with that being said, we're going to keep it strictly focused on baseball today. We're going to be talking some trades, some front runners for awards, and the All Star ballot, and all of the good stuff that comes along with the All Stars. Because we all know fan voting for the All Star game never goes wrong. Anyway, so let's jump straight into it. The talk of the town lately, talk of the sport, really, moreover, has been Tarek Skubal and where he is going to inevitably end up. A lot of teams are interested. Obviously, he is one of the best pitchers in the sport, especially in the American League. But I say unfortunately as a Red Sox fan. I know I'm wearing a Reds shirt, but neither here nor there. But as a Sox fan, it does pain me a little bit to say that I think that the Yankees are going to be the front runners for Tarek Skubal, because as it came out recently, their trade package for Skubal would be their top two young prospects, George Lombard, and I forget the other guy's name, but he's like their number two or number three. And it would just be a 2-for-1 straight for Skubal. So one thing that comes to mind when you're thinking about how Tarek's performance has been lately is, does he want to stay in Detroit? I haven't really seen many things that are like definitive one way or the other. I see people say he wants to be in Detroit. He wants to be the guy for Detroit. He wants to stay there for his whole career, all this, that, and the other. When at the same time, you see the other side of that, and it's like he wants to win. He deserves to win. He wants to win now. So you get kind of both sides of that. I definitely understand the him wanting to leave to win. Obviously, that makes the most sense because you don't play the game to lose unless you're solely going for money and personal accolades, in which case, not really a team friendly player. Who's to say? But there are some other interesting potential trades that I think should be talked about. One that comes to mind is Reed Detmers from the Angels, who is having quietly probably the best season of his career so far. I haven't looked at all of his numbers, but so far he's produced a 2.8 WAR on the season with a 3.68 ERA, and his walk to strikeout ratio is 28 to 100, which is fantastic, especially for Detmers, because if you follow baseball at all, especially if you have the unfortunate, you know, dealings of, I guess, being an Angels fan, you know that Detmers is got really high highs and really low lows. You know, he came up a couple of years ago when he was killing the game, and then he wasn't, and then he was, and then he wasn't. So his career is very up and down. But right now, I think that the Angels would be very smart to sell in order to get some defense on the side. They keep getting guys hurt, but the one that comes to mind the most, obviously, is Mike Trout, who has been on and off the IL his entire career. When he's healthy for a full season, he is continuously, year over year, MVP candidate. And there's no denying that. Probably up there, like top 5 player all time. Maybe. If he's top 5, he's number 5 kind of situation. But with the Angels having the second worst record in the baseball, only behind you know who, I think that they would be very much so better off selling some of their pieces because they're not in the position to compete, which the Red Sox aren't either. There's a lot of teams that aren't really in contention this year. that I think that a lot of them should just, at this point, it's almost halfway through the season. You've got records where you haven't even won 30 games yet, and you just, it's not looking good. So for a lot of teams already, this season is a wash. Unfortunate, but harsh truth. And another interesting beast that I have seen talks about personally, good old Rafi Devers, who, as we know, was traded in the middle of last season from the Red Sox to the Giants. The Giants are fine. They're fine. I mean, they're obviously not killing it as it stands. I think they're third or fourth in the National League West. I don't know, just off the top of my head. But something interesting about this Rafael Devers information is that he's still on contract through 2033, with his contract AAV being, I think, just a little under $16 million, which for the value, not great. He's just kind of quietly leading the major leagues in doubles, currently has 23. That's crazy, but is also hitting 244, 306, and 443. And his OPS plus right now is 112, which is technically, yes, it's above average, but it's just like, if average is here, he's here. So they're still not getting necessarily the proper value out of him. And I don't think that they're going to. I think that the Red Sox were smart, the doing what they did, getting rid of him, but how they handled the aftermath of getting rid of him and just more or less just pissing away all of the pieces they got in return for him. This the front office in Boston is horrible. That's just kind of how it is. We'll talk about that in a minute. Anyways, back to Devers. So I think that teams could get some sort of value. I just think that I don't want to say that Rafi is a cancer in the clubhouse, because obviously I don't know him personally, that kind of whole thing. But he comes off as a very selfish player. When the Red Sox, and now this is not only Rafi's fault, I will acknowledge that. But when the Red Sox brought Bregman in last year, it was a little bit of a surprise to Rafi. It was like, okay, well, he's going to move to DH. Bregman's going to be our everyday third baseman. You're going to be okay with that, right? And Devers, obviously, Devers has never been the best defensive third baseman ever. Has not been in any Gold Glove talks. Might have a highlight or two all year, but as it is, no. Average at best, below average at worst. But when you've got a glove like Bregman's in comparison to Devers, I'm taking Bregman 10 times out of 10 without hesitation. But he got pissy about not playing third base anymore. Fun, understandable, whatever. Now he's going to be the DH. Okay, so he's going to focus on hitting. That's going to be that. That's going to be that. And then Casas goes down. So they're like, oh no, we don't really want to bring in another new guy to just springboard him straight into first base. Rafi, you want to help us out? And he says, no, he doesn't. So I can get both sides. You don't want to do things that you're not comfortable with, but at the same time, if you want to be in a win now position, you have to be able to help your team however they need you. I understand. Devers grew up, came up, only ever played third base. I get it. I understand that. But at the same time, it comes off as incredibly selfish if you're just pretty much saying no I'm not going to do that because I've never done that and I don't want to do that. Whatever. But I do think that now that he's kind of, I don't think that he's improved. I don't think that he's gotten significantly worse. I just think that he's still trying to adjust, which half of last season and half of this season so far, he should have been adjusting at a faster rate. Granted, yes, but what do you do? What do you do? Now, and now for the second topic of today, we're going to talk about early award winners because there are some that are kind of duh, like the National League Cy Young. Duh, we know who that's going to be. National League MVP. Duh. And then there's some that are interesting that could potentially go in, multiple different directions. So let's start in the American League with the Cy Young. As it stands right now, ESPN and MLB both have the current frontrunner for the American League Cy Young as Cam Schlittler. What? What? Who could have seen that coming? Dude's what, like 9-3 with a sub 3, probably a sub 2 ERA, striking out up to a dozen guys a game. Duh. They might as well give it to him now, unless he just, implodes second half, which, oh no. But then you've got someone interesting following him in Dylan Cease, which I haven't really studied much on Cease this year. I know that the Blue Jays are good, but I think that they're still just kind of going back and forth between the Rays, bouncing back and forth between second and third place. Cease is obviously great, obvious, but I do think that Cease has a semblance of a chance to at least be the runner-up because the next closest, the third place, Jacob deGrom, hello, resurgence year. Haven't heard from him in a while. What's he been up to? Oh, nothing, just killing the game. Looking like his former Cy Young self. Love to see that. I love Jacob deGrom. He's one of my favorite pitchers of all time, even as a Red Sox fan. But he's obviously not going to win it because there's guys who are better. But it's just nice to see him at least back in the conversation. Now, moving to the National League. If you have followed baseball for an hour at this point, you'll know who Jacob Misiorowski is. You'll know that he has thrown the most 100-mile-an-hour fastballs in Major League history. I think, don't fact check me on that. In a season so far at over 300. What? Striking out 1,000 dudes a game. ERA in the last month. ERA in the last month has been under 2, I believe, if not right at 2, which is fantastic. It's probably less than that. This kid's insane, and he's only in his early 20s. If he continues to be this successful for a long period of time, I have no doubt that he has a very serious chance of being the greatest pitcher ever. And I will say that. Nolan Ryan, Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, Roger Clemens. If he keeps up as consistent as he is right now, he's better than all of them. I don't know if he's going to break Nolan Ryan's strikeout record because I can potentially, unfortunately, see some Tommy John in his future because you don't get away with 1,000 100-mile-an-hour fastballs without some sort of repercussion. And then behind him, Christopher Sanchez, killing it for the Phillies. Kind of had a little bit of not resurgence, but a come up last year. This year has been killing it. The Phillies have had some coaching issues earlier in the season, but since Don Mattingly has been back, I think that they have very seriously turned things around. And then just behind him, who would be surprised? Shohei Ohtani. His odds for the Cy Young are significantly lower, obviously. But if your 1 and 2 picks are Miz and Sanchez, give the award to Miz. Without question, give it to Miz. Now moving on to MVP voting. This is where it could get very interesting in the American League. Not so much the National League. We can kind of just glaze over the National League. Shohei Ohtani is currently a minus 1,600 favorite, with the next runner-up being Juan Soto and Corbin Carroll. Come on. No chance. But where it gets interesting now is going to be the American League. The frontrunner as it is Yordan Alvarez, which I don't think that many people are surprised by. But following very closely behind him is Bobby Witt Jr. I did see someone say that there's a potential that Bobby could go for a, what was it, like a 30-30 season with home runs, stolen bases, doubles, triples. I don't have any faith that Bobby is going to get 30 triples. I think that he could, but I think that in the pursuit of everything else, I don't think that that's realistic. I don't think that that's very realistic, mostly because looking at his stats right now, it's almost the All-Star break, and he is currently sitting at 10 home runs, which obviously he could mash 20 more home runs on the year. No problem. He's sitting at 28 stolen bases, leading the major leagues, not just the American League, the major leagues with 28 stolen bases. No problem there. 2 more, he's got that. Then 30 doubles would not be hard for him with his speed. He's currently sitting at 19 as I record this. 11 more doubles. No problemo, brother. The only thing that he's not going to get is, of course, 30 triples. Because as it stands right now, he's sitting at 1. I don't think that anyone's going to hit 30 triples ever, as it is. Ever again, I should say, unless they're just like unless they're just absolutely killing the game as it is. Because as we speak right this very second, let's see, yearly league, Corbin Carroll is on top with 9, followed by Chandler Simpson and Leody Taveras at 4. There hasn't been a 30 triple season in, I don't even know how long. Oh, 1912. Chief Wilson, 36. I don't think that that's going to happen. So the 30-30-30-30, just toss that one. That's not going to happen. Love Bobby. Not going to do it. And then third place, Nick Kurtz. But he's just kind of a favorite pick because mashing the ball leads the majors in OBP, which is super impressive on its own. I think he's got a slash of like 280, 360, and then over 44 OBP, something along those lines. Oh, I'm sorry. I have it written right here. 287, 436, 544 with 18 home runs. That's MVP worthy. Like, end of the season today, if he keeps those numbers up, I'd give him the MVP. Then moving to rookie of the year, not really a ton of exciting rookies, I wouldn't say. You've got a couple, and they're obviously going to be like the leaders in the voting. You've got McGonigal for Detroit, Weatherholt for St. Louis. They're the front runners, obviously. Sal Stewart actually has been killing it recently for the Reds. He's number 2 on the National League Rookie of the Year voting as it stands. But looking at the American League, you've got Munetaka Murakami at second. He's hurt. Not sure if he's going to be out for the season. Not looking great for a super strong return. I think it was a hamstring issue with him. But following behind him is Travis Bazzana, Cleveland. Looking pretty good, not going to lie. Okay, back to where we were. The last thing I wanted to say about the Rookie of the Year is that I think that it is so fun, so amazing that Peyton Tolley is still in the running. Not very high, will not win, but he's up there. Love Peyton. All right, moving on. Then my favorite topic of all time ever to ever talk about, the All-Star ballot. I think that the All-Star ballot is so unbelievably stupid because it's nothing but a popularity contest. And some of the positions that are getting, some of the guys in certain positions that are getting votes, it's just unfathomable how people are actively, consciously making these votes. Because let's just take a look at first base as my first example. The current frontrunner for the All-Star game for first base is Vlad Jr. Wow, okay, Zach, that sounds great. He's a big name. A lot of people want to see him. 276, 363, 368, 4 home runs. It's not really all-star numbers. It's above average. Not all-star. Who's in second place? Oh, it's a fella by the name of Ben Rice. Yankee, so ugh. Whatever. Personal bias aside. 294, 389, 616 with 21 home runs. And he's in second place? I don't know where Nick Kurtz is, but not in the top 3 or 4. Then I talked about his stats earlier, just a few minutes ago. 287, league leading, 436 on base percentage, 544 with 18 home runs. That's not all-star worthy? Give me a break, dude. That's ridiculous. And then we'll even look up here again. Wilson Contreras. A little bit of personal bias here. 282, 16 home runs, 44 RBI. He has a 903 OPS. Top 10, I think. Maybe number 8. But Vlad Jr. is number 1. No, it shouldn't be that way. Let's move to catcher, because catcher is one of the real kickers here. Man, oh man. Okay, so it has actually changed in the last couple of days. I guess, no, it has changed since yesterday. Yesterday, Alejandro Kirk was the number 1 voted All-Star at the catcher position in the American League. Alejandro Kirk, fantastic catcher. Not taken away from that. Pretty good bat. Great defensively. Really needs to learn how to drop the trailer and get his big old butt in gear. But the real catch to Kirk being in first place at the catcher position, he's played 7 games this season so far. not 17, not 7D, 7. 7 games. And he was the leader in All-Star voting at the catcher position. How? It's just a popularity contest. It doesn't have anything to do with actual skill, because if it did, then the person who is currently in the lead now, who has overtaken Kirk Langoliers, absolutely deserves it more than Kirk. 110% deserves it more than him. Dylan Dingler, even, I'd take him over Kirk. Adley, he's kind of coming back. He had a little bit of a rough start to the year, but he's making a little comeback here. Love to see that. And then moving to the outfield. As I'm looking here, Aaron Judge is the front runner in the American League for outfielders. There's a potential that Aaron Judge is probably going to be cut for the rest of the year, if not just a couple more months. So he's not expected to play in the All-Star game. So why is he number 1 if he's hurt and more than likely unlikely to be able to participate? Interesting. Trout, second place. Averages a little bit down, hitting 17 home runs, 36 RBI, has an 866 OPS. That's great. With his average being down a little bit. Oh, but he's second. He's also hurt. Not as severely as Judge, but he's also hurt. So why is he in second place? It's Mike Trout. It's Mike Trout. And this one hurts me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. We have Acuna Jr., Ronald, Mr. Ronaldinho. His average is also a little down. He's not hitting as many home runs as he should be. Anyways, 251, 7 home runs, just over 20 RBI with a 794 OPS. Wait a second. He's hurt too. So why is he... Anyways. So the last one, the biggest one that I thought was just an absolute slap in the face. George Springer at the DH position. Let's take a quick glance at some numbers. 223 average. No, that's not really all-star worthy. 8 home runs. 21 RBI. And a 702 OPS. No. Why is he one of the front runners? Oh, because Blue Jays fans are stupid and delusional. And because he hit his 300th home run this year on his career. Great. And then what? You're gonna make him an all-star for an accolade, for a milestone? That seems a little bit silly. So why don't we just go ahead and do that for Pete Crow Armstrong? He hit for the cycle. Bryce Harper just hit for the cycle. Kyle Schwarber just had a 3 home run game. He's in second place, so we can... Anyways, all-star rant aside. Last thing I had here was just some Sox talk, I'll call it. Just a couple points here that I think really give a good summation of how the season has been going and is going to continue to go. I think that, personal opinion, bias aside, I genuinely think that if Wilson Contreras doesn't at least make reserves, he'll be completely snubbed. I think that he is absolutely deserving of an all-star position. Sonny Gray, quick little segue. Sonny Gray is probably and very unfortunately going to be gone by the trade deadline. I would absolutely hate to see that, but I do think that it is unfortunately one of the more realistic things that is going to happen. Through 13 games, Gray is 8-1, ERA just a tick over 3 at 312, has a 118 whip, 55 to 17 strikeout to walk ratio. Arguably an all-star, but that's just, bias and wishful thinking. But yeah, I just think that him and Chapman, they just hold too much value as it is for them to stay on a team that is more than likely just going to be calling this entire season a wash. So I think that with that, it would be smarter to trade him, but it would still suck to see because, he's in his first year of his contract with the Red Sox. I don't want to see him go. He's been having a great year. He could definitely bring some wins to the team, but he could also bring value as a trade piece, which would really suck. But, as a fan, you want to win with longevity. You don't want to just be how the Red Sox have been since 2000, where it's 2004, fantastic, win it all, and then just kind of trickle down, not doing so great. And then 2007, and decent, good years, not just slouch the whole time, but not there, not winning everything like the expectation is. 2013, same thing. 2018, same thing. Because the last playoff run was surprisingly good, but if you want to win the World Series, you got to win. You got to win every series. So their problem now is just longevity, and I think that Dave O'Brien is really summed up this season as a whole. Just a couple days ago, he said that this season has been a root canal with no painkiller, and I don't think anything for this season has been more true than that. It has been an experience. But hopefully bigger, better, brighter things are coming. Only time will tell. So, thank you for sticking with me. A little bit different doing one of these by myself. So hopefully the next time I get to do one of these, I'll have Brett back by my side. We can do some NFL, NBA talks too. But as it is, thank you for being here. Follow, like, subscribe, do all of the things, share it. We would love to get this off the ground. So thank you for those who watch and follow and do all of the things. I truly greatly appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one.